Hi there, this is Lee. So I was just going to do a video for you to show you how I would get this to trace nicely. Um, so this is actually Photoshop, and I don't know, most people don't have Photoshop. You might use GIMP or something. Oh, and before I forget, I'm going to make this a private video because this is probably a copyright image. And I know I do copyright images sometimes, but I just don't want someone giving me a hard time about it. So I'll just keep this private. So you'll be the only one who has the address to see this. Okay, so I just downloaded the picture that you sent and I put it in Photoshop and I just cropped it. And so now I'm going to go up and we're going to look at sort of the attributes of the image. I'm going to go to image size and you can see it's 72 pixels per inch. The size is pretty good. So it's mostly a good image to trace, but I'm just going to show you why. I assume that the words you're having problem with are these down here, rule your fitness. So I'm going to zoom in on those and show you why those are going to be hard to trace. You can see the when I zoom in, you can see how pixelated it is. And those are just very tiny unless you find an image that is really high resolution. That's just going to be very difficult to trace. And I did search. What I always do first off, if I'm going to trace something, is I try to find a higher resolution image, and I couldn't find one for this. So I'm going to show you a way to work around that. All right, so now go into Inkscape. And basically what I did crop it because it had such a large white background, but it shouldn't matter. That shouldn't have anything to do with how you do it. All right. And now I'm just going to do a bitmap trace. So let me zoom in a little bit more. And so I'll just go to path, trace bitmap. All right. So that's here. I'm going to use brightness cutoff. I'm going to leave the threshold set at 0.45. And this stuff doesn't matter if you're using any of the single scan options. This stuff down here, I think I could be wrong about that, but I think it only matters for multiple scans. Now in options, there's a couple of other things you can change: suppress speckles, smooth corners, optimize paths. I'm just going to leave everything the way it is now because I know from experience that this little text down here just isn't going to trace well, no matter what settings I use. That's just the way it's going to be. Okay, so I just said OK to trace it, and now I'm going to pull the trace off at the top. Okay, I'm going to close the trace window. All right, so there's the trace. If I double click on it, you can see that one has the nodes. If I double click on this one, it doesn't have nodes, and down here, if I'm on the selection tool, it tells me that's an image, and if I click on this one, it tells me it's a path. Now, normally I would go ahead and delete this so that I don't get confused, but I'm actually going to use it as a template for figuring out how to redo this text with text. So if you see, I'll just zoom in here. I'm using the plus key on the keyboard, and you can see it really didn't trace well. Now you could go in and you could fix all these nodes, but that would take forever. So we're not going to do that. I'm just going to show you how to fill this in with text. Okay, now one thing you can do, a really awesome app. I used to do this on my computer, but now I found this app, and it is called, hold on, I have to look it up. It's called What the Font. What the Font or What the Font, one of those. And I just copied screenshots from my phone. And this is like, so you take a picture, and I just took a picture off the computer screen and then move the selection box down just to get that. And then if I click this arrow here on my screen, it gives me options. Now I think some of these would be that you have to pay for, and some of them would be free. But usually what I do is I just type the one that I think is the closest in on my computer, and I look and see which one's free and which one's not. So I didn't download any of these for this because I'm just going to use Arial, but because I thought Arial was a pretty good fit for it. If you want to find something that's more exact, you could go through and download one of these fonts and use that. But like I said, I'm just going to use Arial. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the text tool, and mine is already set to Arial, so I'm just going to type in rule your fitness. I'm going to do Control A to select it all, and then I'm going to go to bold italic. Okay. Now I'm going to change the color of that so I can see it, and I'm going to drag it so that the R is right there on top of that R. And now I'm going to use the arrow, and I'm going to hold down the control key so that it shrinks proportionally. So I'm just dragging that arrow on the side while holding down the control key to shrink it down. And I'm just going to try to get it about the same size as this. So now I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. Use the plus and minus keys on your keyboard as a quick way to zoom. Alright, so I'm just going to make it where that R is about the same size. Alright, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on that again to bring up the rotation center. I'm going to grab the rotation center and put it down here at the tip of the R. Now, you can see if you click on it once, you get the sizing arrows. If you click on it twice, it changes it to a rotation handle. So I'm just going to rotate it up like this, trying to get the rotation right. And then I'll work on resizing it a little bit more. Okay, so now I'll click again to get back to the sizing, hold down control, and at this point we're getting a little bit, I'm going to have to size one size different than the other because it's a little bit fatter than Arial. And then I'll rotate it again. Okay. Now, it depends on how picky you are with this. If you're trying to get it to be exact, you can go back in because we're going to have to convert this to a path anyway. Okay, so I'm just going to size it down a little bit more and rotate it a little bit. Okay, so to get it to, we have to get it to a path because right now if I look down here it's text. So we'll go to path, object to path. Now if I look down here, it tells me it's a group because Inkscape always turns text into a group when you change it to a path. So all we have to do is ungroup it. You can go to Object, Ungroup, or you can say Control-Shift-G. Okay, now you can see it puts a little box around each of these. And if I wanted to, I could just move each of these around. Okay, I'm just going to leave it the way it is for now. And you can fiddle with it as much as you want. So now I'm just going to go through and select all of them, and I'm going to union them together. Path, union. Right now it's all one thing. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to come over here to the trace. And I'm going to put it right on top of where it traced and zoom in a bit. Okay. And like I said, you can be more picky about this. If I was doing this for myself or for a customer, I would get it to look exactly right. But this is a quick video and my computer's not that fast, so I'll run out of video time if I try to get it exactly right. Alright, so now what I want to do, let me move this out of the way first. Oops. Okay, so the first thing I want to do, I'm going to, before I subtract this out, I'm going to get rid of the text that's already there. Okay, so you can see if I double click on this black trace, you can see the nodes for that text down there. What I can do is I can just go click and drag and then delete. You can just press delete on your keyboard. I actually have my mouse set up with the delete key, so it's real fast, but you can just press delete on your keyboard. Alright, I'm not going to move all of them because I want part of that to be a template for where I'm going to put the text. Right, now I'm going to double click on that black part again and continue to select those nodes. It's not going to select any of the red because I don't have the red selected. I'm just working with the black layer. Okay, so now you can see if I pull that out of the way, it's all clear there. Now what I can do is I can use difference to subtract that out of the trace. So with that selected, I hold down the Shift key and click the black, and now I just go to path difference to subtract that out. And there you go. And like I said, you'd get this exactly perfect. I'm just going fast. So that should all be one piece. If you sent that to a cutter, it would cut all as one, and I think the rest of it traced fairly well with those settings that I used, which were just the default settings. You can always go in. I just don't even see anything I was going to say you can go in and tweak the nodes to make the lines straighter or whatever, but it looks pretty good to me. If you wanted to, you could redraw this box, but I mean, it looks nice and clean to me also. So I think that gets it. If you have any more questions, please let me know. You can contact me by email or on YouTube. Either one would work. Thanks.